please stand for the opening prayer and pledge.
Father in heaven, bless us as we gather today for this meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so that we will work for the good of our community. Teach us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Thy will be done. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hancock County Commission will come to order this 13th day of September 2018. Mr. Clerk, I'll ask you to take a roll call, please.
Mr. President, all the commissioners are present today.
Thank you. Accept the motion to approve the minutes from August 23rd, 2018.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On the agenda, we had the Deputy Sheriff's Association. They were going to be attending our meeting today, and that's been canceled. So I'll move on to correspondence. Hancock County Parks and Recreation Board of Directors requesting the consideration of a dog park at one of the county's park facilities.
Move to approve.
Discussion? I'd like to comment on this. The Hancock County Parks and Recreation is in charge of, one of the areas that they're in charge of is the properties located at Gas Valley. And there's a ball field that's no longer in use located there. And the park board is interested in using that as a form of tourism and put in a dog park. And so I don't have many details about it right now, but this was correspondence that they'd sent to the commission asking if there were any problems with using that facility if they chose to move forward. Any further discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We can send them those back, Mr. Vitus, or if we can, just let them know that the commission said it would be okay if they chose to move forward. Under new business, consideration of memorandum of understanding with Brooke County Commission concerning the regional broadband feasibility study and business plan.
Move to approve.
Discussion? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of payment to Jerry Hines for his accrued vacation days.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration to reappoint Nick Frankovich to the Oakland PSD.
Move to approve.
Discussion? I think Mr. Frankovich was the only one that had reapplied for this position. Mr. Vitus? I believe that was the only one. Okay, motion is to reappoint Mr. Frankovich. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of an order to vacate a seat on the Hancock County Health Department.
If I could give some background on this, just for the sake of the record. On or about September 1st, one of the members of the health department of their board moved from Butler District to Clay District. That particular member was the slotted member for Butler and the representative for that district. By his moving to Clay District, especially when there were no seats available in that particular district, they were both filled, there was nowhere for this board member to go. So effectively, by vacating his seat, he essentially was gone from the board at that point. That leaves an opening for the commission to need to reappoint someone to represent Butler District and to fill the open slot left by that vacancy. you had any other questions, I can answer them. The relevant code section is Chapter 16, Article 2, Section 7.
I move that the seat be vacated on the health board.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Dr. Kyle McPherson for serving the short time that he did, and appreciate every time he gave to that. Thank you.
Mr. Lucas, I do have a question for you. Being that we have, as you indicated, already have two folks on the health board from Clay District, and now we only have one from Butler, and we have one from Grant. This replacement, could they not be from Grant as well?
You wish to seek an appointment, one for Butler and one for Grant?
You can't have any more than two board members from any one district. So with two being from Clay, one from Grant, one from Butler, the new, when we accept applications to reappoint to this position, it could either be from Grant or from Butler, if I understand this correctly. Doesn't necessarily, being that Mr. McPherson was from Butler, we wouldn't have to fill that position from a Butler person then.
Not necessarily, but I didn't research that particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, but I guess the safe answer is I don't know the exact answer to your question on that. I just know that was the open slot that he left open. It may be a possibility to do that. So if you wish to make the motion tentative upon me reviewing that, that's fine. That you can do that, but I don't know that it necessarily has to come from Butler, but just that Clay County is full. That's the bottom line here. So it may be possible to do that.
Okay, we'll leave that.
Yeah.
We didn't
The,
vote on the vacant seat yet, right?
Right. The motion is to the order to vacate the seat on the Hancock County Health Board, which was held by Kyle McPherson. If there's no further discussion, I'll accept the motion to approve.
Motion's already there. Just need a total.
I'm sorry. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Next item, the consideration to advertise for applicants to serve on the Hancock County Board of Health for the vacated seat.
Move that we advertise for those applicants, and possibly could be from either one, the Grant or the Butler, till we find out specifically on that.
And while we're on that, we ran into this problem before. This seat should just be filled for the balance of the term.
That's what would be my recommendation, since you had the individual effectively vacate. You're filling that position. It should just fill out for the remainder of the term. I don't know the exact date that it
It
ends.
should be 3 years. I think he served 2. I think the idea was to have one every year in July. So it'd be 5 years.
Whatever the remainder of his term.
Yeah.
I would just say that whenever you eventually reappoint the new individual, that it should be simply for the remainder of that term, and just nail down whatever that particular term when it ends.
So should we amend our?
No, you don't need to amend it at this point.
Any
But
further?
when we advertise it, we can advertise it as balance of the term.
Yeah, exactly.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the County Clerk's Office, consideration of approval of the number 1 commissioners and poll workers for the November 6, 2018 general election.
I need to abstain from that. My wife is also a poll worker, so I'll abstain.
I'll move to amend the poll workers.
Approve the poll workers.
He said amend.
But I'll
The motion
motion to
before us-
approve
Approve the poll workers.
the poll workers. And I was wanting to ask a question at the same time, so I got confused.
Discussion?
I noticed all seats are filled, correct? Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Dog Warden, consideration of approval to hire Chelsea Kearns, Michelle Faulkner, Heather Stevens, Autumn Moniger, Catherine Beagle, Taylor McKay, Paul Falsonetti, Anna Blankenship, Carissa Adkins, Karen Jededeski, and Pamela Kalish as part-time shelter workers, and Dawn Blankenship as a part-time dog warden.
Move to approve.
Discussion?
I think the list is so long because a lot of her part-time workers have gone back to school, and just coming to find out some of the people that are interviewing might only want to work one day. So she's covering her hours by having extra people to pick from, and some of them just would like to be on call.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of the September 22nd, 2018 rabies clinic. I accept the motion to make that a matter of record.
So move.
Discussion?
Yeah, the clinic is scheduled for Saturday, September 22nd, 9 to 11. It'll be at the Hancock County Animal Shelter on Gas Valley Road. Sponsoring veterinarian is Dr. Mark Ferris. And there's a couple fees. Vaccination is $10. Licenses will also be able to be purchased. Dog licenses are $3, kennel licenses are $10, and they cover 5 dogs. And a vicious dog license is $10 each. They've had one rabies clinic, but there's been a couple reported cases of rabies, so she thought it would be best if we did it again, a repeat.
No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Office of Technology and Communications, consideration of approval to hire up to 4 part-time dispatchers.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, consideration of approval of depository agreement with West Banco Insurance.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Sheriff's Department, consideration of approval to apply for 2 Homeland Security grants.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item from the Sheriff's Department is consideration of approval to hire Lynn Miller for the position of tax deputy effective September 17th, 2018.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of probates and estates.
They have been reviewed and are recommended for approval.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of exoneration orders. 13 of them.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of general county bills.
General county bills will have to be approved in 3 stages. The general county bills were $126,306.57.
Accept the motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like approval to pay for travel expenses for Mr. Barnaby.
Motion is to, I'll accept the motion to approve the travel for Mr. Barnaby.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Barnaby abstains. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I'd also like an approval to pay the travel expenses for Commissioner Cowan.
Recuse myself and abstain from that vote.
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of animal shelter levy fund bills and requisitions.
They're okay to pay?
Move to approve.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of library levy fund bills and requisitions.
They're okay to pay?
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of shelter workshop levy fund bills and requisitions.
They're okay to pay.
Move to approve.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a couple citizens that would like to speak to the commission today. Mark Henny. Mark, if you'd step up to the mic, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, Mark Kenny. I'm with Brooke Hancock, Jefferson Metropolitan Planning Commission. And I want to thank the commission for signing off on the MOU. And I would like to have that signed and take it back with me today if I can. Also, I would like again to ask whether you've considered somebody to serve on the broadband committee that we're establishing as a part of the application process and going forward to improve broadband capabilities in Brooke and Hancock County. And then lastly, we did advertise for the meeting at 3 o'clock today, notifying the citizens here that we would be making applications, if you approved it, for broadband plan, and then in the future, more applications for funding to improve broadband. So that'll be taking place at 3 o'clock today. If you have any questions, be happy to answer.
Maybe explain exactly what we're trying to accomplish here.
There's large deficits across the country and in our state particularly, and in our area, broadband capability. We either don't have it in large sections of rural areas, or we have, it's not strong enough. And we are going to be doing a plan to identify as closely as we can with a consultant those areas that are in need. And when we do that, that will make us eligible for a number of funding sources, one of which will be the one that helps pay for the plan, which is the Community Development Block Grant Program that the state has. But there are a whole host of others, plus private investors that are coming out. I think you've seen some of the articles, where they are going to be boosting the monies they're giving the state here and other places across the country to help defray the cost of improving broadband. So this is the time to do it now, because everybody seems to be getting on the bandwagon. And you can't be current and either at home, in your workplace, or in life if you're not connected as we go forward.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Rudy Rosnick.
Good afternoon. I'm here just to make both the commissioners, and the public, aware of what it is costing to operate animal shelter since the commission takeover in 2016. Fiscal year 2018, I feel, would be a good model. The first year that you were operating the shelter, you were still hiring staff, restructuring, how you're going to operate the shelter, etc. So I received county documents that summarizes fiscal year, calendar year 2018. And what the county documents show is that the county spent close to $600,000 running the animal shelter. The actual figure is $593,750. So for sake of just rounding, making it simple and easy to understand, let's go with $600,000. Even if you back out the cost for your dog wardens, which really isn't an operational expense for the animal shelter, and you take the $100,000, animal shelter excess levy out, you still got $389,000 that were true operational costs. I mention that $389,000 figure because that is what the nonprofit had offered to do all those services that you paid $389 for $78,000. That was their bid. So I realized that when the commission made the decision to take over the shelter, you didn't know what additional money it was going to cost. I mean, all the commissioners even said that. You knew it was going to be more, but you didn't know how much more. Well, now that you have all the figures in for fiscal year 2018, it's a little over $300,000 a year more. That's how much more the taxpayers are paying every year because of the decision made. Additionally, for that $300,000, the death rate at the shelter has gone up over 50-60%. I say that because I know that all of you remember the figure of 5% euthanasia rate when the foundation had it. And even a couple of the commissioners said, we're going to make our rate the same out there. Well, we're even going to try to match the target that the foundation had for a 3% death rate at the shelter. You know, what it is, it's over 8. So that's a 50-60% increase. So the only thing I'm trying to make the public aware of is that we are spending $300,000 additional taxpayer money for the county to operate the shelter, and the death rate has gone up 50-60%. I'm not trying to criticize the commissioners here. You didn't know what you were getting into. But what I'm saying now is that you realize now that there's an increased death rate and that you're paying an additional $25,000 a month in taxpayers' dollars to run the shelter. So I guess I'll close saying I would hope, based upon seeing the reality of what it takes to run an operating shelter, that you would reconsider maybe possibly rebidding it out to a nonprofit. Other counties have done it, Jefferson, Belmont, Brooke, and most of them average a $200,000 to $300,000 savings to their taxpayers. So I wish you would reconsider, the operation of the shelter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Lucas, anything else to come before the commission today?
Nothing today.
Mr. Vitus?
Having had a feeling for Mrs. Skull, I've said enough.
Not as pretty.
That's your opinion.
Thank you.
Okay. Carol, anything from the Extension Office today?
We are busily getting ready for the fair this weekend. We're hoping everybody's going to take some time to come on out. So far, the weather looks like it's going to be pretty good. So we're just going to hold our breath and hope it all goes well for those affected by Florence. But I hope everyone will be able to come out and enjoy the fair.
Do you have any of your 4-H groups participating?
We are going to be having all of the projects exhibited out there, of course. And we're going to be providing a few activities for the public too that they can come through.
Good.
And do as well.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Longi? Mr. Wright?
Well, the September term of the Hancock County Grand Jury finished up their work yesterday and returned somewhere in the neighborhood of about 34 indictments, so we'll be beginning the process of running into the legal system, and everything went pretty smooth, so it's good.
Sheriff?
Nothing more at this time, thank you.
Mr. Foley?
Nothing.
Commissioner Cowie?
Just going to remind people about the county fair that was going to be on the 14th and 15th. And also we received an email from the Office of the West Virginia Secretary of State saying that Hancock County had a notable growth in August and that our business entities went from 124 to 1,024 to 1,040. So it looks good for the county.
Good. Commissioner Barnaby?
Sally Rudder finished up work September 7th, and the last meeting I overlooked the fact that she had been retiring. She put in for it a while back. I'd like to wish Sally much happiness in her retirement, And also, Kyle McPherson served 2 years on the health board. Thank him for a job well done. I spoke with Kyle this week, and he kind of had a feeling he was going to run into a problem when he relocated. And he expressed a little bit of displeasure, but there's nothing we can do. You know, we go by the law, and he understands everything. So, that's it.
I'd also like to echo Mr. Barnaby's thoughts, thanking Kyle for his service, Sally for her service, wish her a happy retirement. Hancock County, the Old Time Fair should be a good weekend. Weather's looking good, so hopefully people can get out and participate in that. The County Commission is going to have to schedule another meeting. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 18th at 9 a.m. That would be this coming Tuesday at 9 a.m. here at the courthouse. We have some unfinished business that we weren't able to get completed by today, so we'll have an agenda out for that meeting. And then also, the following County Commission meeting will be 1 week later on the 25th of September, and that will be at 2:30 p.m. If we have no further business to come before the commission today, I'll accept a motion that we adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.